Downtown Pittsburgh on this chilly late November night, and at nearby Heinz Field, the Steelers make their entrance, geared up to go head-to-head with the Packers on Sunday Night Football.
Stand up and cheer, stomp your feet, start clapping. NBC Sunday night about to happen. America's game, been waiting all day. Packers and the Steelers have come to play. Al, Chris, Michelle, turn it up. It's the NFL, can't get enough. We got a battle tonight, a winner take all, ain't nothing like Sunday Night Football. It's out of control. Get set, let's go. The clock's winding down. Let's rock and roll. Stand up and cheer, stomp your feet, start clapping. NBC Sunday night about to happen. The hits keep coming and the lights keep flashing. Come on, get ready for the action. Sunday night, Sunday night. Sunday night, Sunday night. Sunday night, Sunday night, Sunday night.
Only one venue where you'll see this scene. Heinz Field, home of the terrible towel, a Pittsburgh tradition for 42 years. And ready now for the Killer Bees. Brown, Ben, and Bell set to match up with Coach Mike McCarthy and the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels, Chris Dawes with Michelle Tafoya. Green Bay comes in with a mark of 5-5. This just in. Aaron Rodgers is fairly valuable. They were 4-1 before he got hurt, 1-4 since he got hurt, broken collarbone. He could come back in 3 weeks. They'd have 3 games to play. Remains to be seen. The trick right now for the Packers is to try to stay in the playoff hunt. They'll have their hands full tonight because Pittsburgh is red hot. They are 8-2. The Steelers have won 5 consecutive games, playing great in all 3 phases. And this is a team, the way you look at it right now, the road to the Super Bowl, at least on the AFC side, could very well come through here or New England. Chris, you look at this franchise, they've already won 6 Super Bowls. They have their sights firmly set on the 7th.
Yeah, and we're in Pittsburgh. Let's talk a little defense. How about that? Second fewest points allowed in the league right now. Second most sacks offensively. They look good running the no huddle against the Tennessee Titans last time out. And I would think with Aaron Rodgers out in this one, they're going to want to run as many plays as possible to take advantage of that quarterback mismatch.
So, of course, a short deck that Mike McCarthy has to play with tonight. What's his plan?
I think the Packers are going to want to slow things down as much as they possibly can, rely on a defense that's really been playing well over the past several weeks, and hope the Brett Hundley they get is the one they saw in Chicago and not the one they got last week against the Ravens.
More now. Go to the field. Welcome in Michelle Tafoya. Michelle.
Well, Al, when it comes to current head coaching matchups, there aren't many better than the one we have tonight. Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy ranked 2nd and 3rd, respectively, in regular season winning percentage, behind only Bill Belichick. Each has won a Super Bowl, with McCarthy beating Tomlin to win his. And each has sustained the kind of success that makes anything less than a Super Bowl season a disappointment. McCarthy, born and raised here in Pittsburgh, watched the Rooneys' consistent family style of coaching up close and has tried to emulate that in Green Bay. And Tomlin has walked in the shoes of Bill Cowher and Chuck Noll and has never blinked. And tonight, both are without some key starters, including Packers linebacker Clay Matthews and Steelers wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. Al.
All right, Michelle, Week 12 winding down in the Steel City. Packers, Steelers on Sunday Night Football.
Ain't nothing like Sunday Night Football.
NBC Sports, home of Super Bowl 52, welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
The Green Bay Packers, perhaps the NFL's most storied franchise, winners of 13 NFL championships, including 4 Super Bowls, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, a glorious history of their own, with an NFL record 6 Lombardi trophies. That's tonight's matchup on Sunday Night Football. Fireworks going off above Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, near the confluence of the three rivers. Terrible towels. That's Merrill Hodge. They bring back all of the old Steelers and anoint one of the guys to lead what's become a tradition since 1975, hatched by the late broadcaster and writer Myron Cope. Mason Crosby will kick off for Green Bay. They won the toss and deferred. Martavis Bryant is back deep along with Fitzgerald Toussaint for the Steelers.
Merrill Hodge may not stop waving that towel all night. Just sit there and get him going. He's happy as he can be.
Having fun. It's a great scene always at Heinz Field. As they've already had fireworks here this weekend because the University of Pittsburgh upset Miami here on Friday afternoon. And off we go from Pittsburgh, PA. Kick fielded by Bryant. Martavis Bryant from the 4, coming up the sideline, staying in bounds, and finally forced out of bounds up near the 41-yard line. So a good run back for Bryant, who right now is their number 2 receiver, with Juju Smith-Schuster out tonight. 38-yard run back, and let's take a look at the Steeler offense.
Ben Roethlisberger, Miami University.
Le'Veon Bell, Michigan State.
Roosevelt Nix, Kent State University.
Antonio Brown, Central Michigan.
Martavis Bryant, Clemson.
Jesse James, Penn State.
Alejandro Villanueva, United States Military Academy.
Ramon Foster, Tennessee.
Marquise Pouncey, Lakeland Senior High.
David DeCastro, Stanford.
Chris Hubbard, UAB.
First play, they go 5 wide, and right off the bat, Roethlisberger to Brown. Where have we seen that before? Brown leading the league in receptions. Big gain here after the good run back, gain of 20 yards.
Go spread formation, just one safety in the middle of the field, so you know exactly what Ben Roethlisberger is going to do. He's going to take his top weapon and go let him play one-on-one.
Brown, just another sensational season. Come up more conventionally this time after going 5 wide on the first play. And Roethlisberger slings it to the outside. And that is caught by Martavis Bryant, who gets wrestled down. Forward progress should net him the first down as we take a look at the Green Bay defense.
Dean Lowry, Northwestern.
Mike Daniels, Iowa.
Kyler Fackrell, Utah State University.
Jake Ryan, Michigan.
Blake Martinez, Stanford.
Nick Perry, USC.
Devon House, New Mexico State. Morgan Burnett, Georgia Tech.
HaHa Clinton Dix, Alabama.
Demarius Randall, Arizona State.
Kevin King, Washington.
Good news is Burnett is back. He's missed 4 of the last 5 games. Bad news is Matthews is out. Now they give it to Bell. He's the league's leading rusher and takes the ball to the 26-yard line. Ben Roethlisberger, his numbers on the season: 2,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. 5 of those came in one game in Week 5 here against Jacksonville.
Hey, come on. Hey, 50.
2nd and 7 now from the 26-yard line. That's Eli Rogers in motion. Stops in the slot and action, and our first flag of the game upcoming. Ed Hockley is the ref.
False start offense, number 84. 5-yard penalty. It's 2nd down.
It's Antonio Brown moving.
You know, one of the weird things about playing receiver is you don't often hear the snap count. This is a team that's played a lot of games on the road. And so now as a wide receiver, Antonio Brown's out there. He can actually hear what Ben's saying and jumped off sides.
Cross him 5, makes it 2nd down and 12. And through the middle, Bell to the 20-yard line. Another sensational year for Le'Veon, 5th year out of Michigan State.
Well,
3rd and 2.
You can play along. Ben thinks this is going to be a 2-deep safety. When he does that, you're going to the run. You bring that other safety down to try and play against the run and Le'Veon Bell. When you get the double teams inside like that, you just play power football.
3rd down, 1.5 yards from just outside the 20.
Hey, right here, 50, 50, 50.
Empty backfield again. Play clock is down to 3. And a quick flip, and it should be a first down as Bell is able to make the catch. Needed 1.5 yards and got about 2.5, and that moves the sticks again.
You're going to end up with Le'Veon Bell against a linebacker, and it's not that linebacker. There's Clay Matthews over there, but to anybody, it doesn't matter who it is. You see number 47, any linebacker number, it could be 50, 48, whatever it is. Ben Roethlisberger was going to like that matchup a lot.
Steelers go without a huddle. 6th play of the opening drive of the game. Again in the pocket, green pocket. The throw is a little bit low. It's caught there by Eli Rogers at the 14-yard line with Juju Smith-Schuster out tonight, inactive. Rogers will see a lot more action than he has of late.
Yeah, and Eli Rogers was a good slot receiver. The problem for him has been that Juju Smith-Schuster has been a great slot receiver for them, and so he's seen his snaps begin to fade.
Hey, no, 50, 50.
2nd down and 6. This time 4 receivers set to the right side. Benjamin goes to the left side, and it's dropped at the 5-yard line by Martavis Bryant. 3rd down and 6 upcoming.
Kevin King back in there for the Packers, and good-looking young cover cornerback on the outside. They move all the coverage over as Antonio Brown goes across, and for whatever reason, it has been tough on Martavis Bryant to get off to a good start. He seems like most of his mistakes that he makes, of course he had a nice return on the kickoff tonight, but come early in games.
4 opening drive touchdowns allowed by Green Bay this season. Play clock is down to 1 on a 3rd and 6, and a little toss, and that's caught by Jesse James, and James fights his way to a 1st and goal, taking it to the 4-yard line. A lot of very interesting patterns being run on this first series.
Watch this. You get man coverage. He comes back. There's the guy in man coverage right there. So DeCastro is going to go block the guy that has man coverage against Jesse James. It's like stealing.
At the 4-yard line now. On a 1st and goal, 5 minutes into the game. They're taking the play clock all the way down again. 1 second. Clean pocket, good protection. It's caught over the middle by Le'Veon Bell. He gets to the 2. It'll be 2nd down and goal. Roethlisberger has started 6 of 7 for 48 yards.
Well, he loves getting in this no huddle, doesn't he? So many times when they are in the huddle, it seems like the offense becomes a little more Le'Veon Bell oriented. When they go to the no huddle, it seems like Ben's the one in charge of calling a lot of those plays. And of course, as a quarterback, you might see a few more passes.
Todd Haley calling his 10th play of this drive. Bell in the backfield on 2nd and goal. Quick drop, and the pass is not caught. It is Hunter who is actually out of bounds. Holds it in, but he's on the chalk, covered there by House. It'll be 3rd down and goal for the Steelers.
He's on the chalk. He must have been bobbling it as he got there. Let's take a look. Goes to the ground, and the ball is out on the chalk.
Started to control it, comes to the ground. Out it comes, and it's 3rd down and goal from the 2.
Big play for the Packers. Boy, if they could hold them to a field goal here, sure feel a lot better about the night.
Not really built right now to come from behind. On 3rd and goal, Bell flips the ball to Bryant. Bryant to the outside, and he cannot get in, and stays in bounds at the 1.5-yard line. Kevin King, rookie corner out of Washington, able to trip him up, and it's going to be 4th down and goal at the 1-yard line now.
What a spectacular play by the young rookie Kevin King. This one looked like the whole world was coming towards him. AB didn't get the block, And Kevin King, bad shoulder and all, stuck his arm out and made the play.
So the Steelers going for it, looking for the touchdown. Forget about the field goal on 4th down. Play clock again all the way down to 1. A little shovel pass for the touchdown. Xavier Grimble, backup tight end, in for 6. Twelve plays, 6 different receivers on that drive.
A lot of firepower. Probably the last guy you're thinking about on 4th and 1 is Xavier Grimble. Little shovel pass inside. Clever call that time by Todd Haley.
Very. You know, you stripped the first 15. He's already used 12 of them.
I tell you, the Steelers are going to have to start paying us to come here. They always get off the fast starts when we're here.
Well, not Boswell here, though, as he misses it. His first miss at home this season. 8:14 left in the quarter. 6-0 Steelers. Sunday Night Football being brought to you by Volkswagen. Why settle for an SUV when you can have an SUVW? By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By U.S. Bank and by Gap. Well, when you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's a little bit of tradition. This is Alumni Weekend. Halftime tonight, the team inducts 27 legends into the inaugural class of the Hall of Honor. There is Dermontti Dawson, the great center, inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame back in 2012. Always fun coming in here and seeing a lot of very familiar faces. Boswell's kick will be down in the end zone by Trevor Davis, and we'll meet the Packer starters.
Brett Hundley, UCLA.
Jamal Williams, BYU.
Jordy Nelson, Kansas State.
Randall Cobb, Kentucky.
Devontae Adams, Fresno State.
Lance Kendricks, Wisconsin.
David Bakhtiari, University of Colorado, Boulder.
Clayton Taylor, Oklahoma State.
Corey Lindsley, The Ohio State University. Jari Evans, Bloomsburg.
Justin McCray, University of Central Florida.
Well, you saw in the background there a little tussle breaking out. Thus the officiating crew gets together.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness by the kicking fiend, the defense, number 98, 15 yards from the end of the return, first down.
Vince Williams got into it, and that'll move the ball all the way out to the 40-yard line.
Yeah, Vince Williams kind of got yanked to the ground during the course of that play and then headbutts Geronimo Allison there, and I think their face masks got locked. And so literally had to be separated.
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Two football players do not want to be in that position on national television.
From the 40-yard line, they begin with the Jamal Williams run as he takes it out to the 46-yard line. So when Rodgers went down, the backup quarterback, Brett Hundley, third year, played his college ball at UCLA through 75 touchdown passes for the Bruins. 2 touchdowns this season, both to Devontae Adams, and 7 interceptions. Played pretty well against Chicago, and there is Aaron Rodgers, and again they hope to have him back in 3 weeks if that collarbone mends. Meanwhile, they're also minus their top 2 running backs tonight. Apart from that, nothing much. Williams. And he's able to work his way, spinning to the 48-yard line, first down. Here's the Steeler D.
Stephon Todd,
Notre Dame. Javon Hargrave, South Carolina State.
Cam Hayward, The Ohio State.
Bud Dupree, Kentucky. Ryan Shazier, The Ohio State University.
Vincenzo Williams, FSU.
TJ Watt, Wisconsin.
Cody Sensabaugh, Clemson.
Sean Davis, Maryland.
Mike Mitchell, Ohio University.
Artie Burns, the U.
Only the Jaguars have allowed fewer points this season than have the Steelers. Off the play fake, Hundley rolling against the grain, fires along the sideline, and it is hauled in. Hauled in by Davante Adams, who's clearly become his favorite guy. T.J. Watt, J.J.'s brother, chased him, and Adams comes up limping a little.
Yeah, hauled in, but Brett Hundley had to haul butt here to get away from T.J. Watt. This was a pretty good foot race between two good athletes. And we have seen Hundley make nice plays. And there's Adams over on the sideline.
9-8, 9-8.
And he has been red hot.
Hey, area,
He's Hundley's main man. Still trying to make connections with Jordy Nelson. 2nd down and 5. That's Jamal Williams. So Jordy Nelson, of course, Rodgers' favorite through the years, but with Hundley, it's been difficult for the two to wind up on the same page thus far.
Yeah, and so many touchdown connections when Aaron Rodgers was in there with Jordy Nelson, and basically have sort of disappeared since then. On the other side of the coin, though, it has been pretty good with Davante Adams. So now 3rd and 5. This is where all the fancy, crazy coverages and blitzes come for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tough on young quarterbacks.
And here they come. Hundley stepping up. There he goes to the ground. The ball is out as well. But they're going to say that he was down at the 49-yard line. So you had Bud Dupree coming in. You had Stephon Tuitt coming in together. And Hundley got compressed in the pocket. Then he's down at midfield. And a flag is down as well. Here's Hockley again.
Well, the quarterback still had the ball. Illegal hands to the face by the defense, number 25. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and an automatic 1st down.
That's a huge break. Artie Burns with a penalty. Otherwise, it would have been 4th and 12.
Artie Burns, the outstanding young cornerback on the outside right there on initial slap. Ended up getting the hands to the face mask of Geronimo Allison, who's had a busy face mask so far in this game. And there's Hundley. They're trying to get him to do more like Aaron Rodgers, stepping up and into the pocket before scrambling instead of just scrambling wide like he did all last week.
First down from the 38-yard line. And going nowhere is Jamal Williams. Vince Williams makes the stop. That's Steeler D year after year. 4th in yards allowed. 3rd in passing yards allowed. 2nd in sacks. And as we mentioned, only the Jaguars have allowed fewer points. As you look at Keith Butler, took over 3 or 4 years ago when Dick LeBeau left town to go to Tennessee. And he's done a nice job. 2nd and 11. Hundley sliding to his left, deep downfield, and wide open is Randall Cobb for a touchdown. So a breakdown in the secondary and a 39-yard touchdown to Randall Cobb. Of course, it was all set up by that hands to the face call. It would have been 4th and 12 otherwise.
Well, you're going to get a swing route down here, but Artie Burns is going to go with the post pattern down the field and just doesn't recognize that swing up the field to Randall Cobb. T.J. Watt was dropping back into flat, and I just got to believe that Artie Burns tried to do a little too much instead of just playing his deep 3rd of the field.
Mason Crosby for the point after. 4:45 left in the opening quarter. Green Bay takes the lead. Coming up this week, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Always a great array of guests. Jim Belushi will be stopping by. Sam Smith as well. Tonight Show with Jimmy. All this week on NBC. Well, the Green Bay Packers got a big break on a penalty. 3rd and long. Artie Burns with the penalty, and then he got burned on the touchdown pass. And Green Bay with the extra point, making the difference, leading 7-6.
Steelers don't look overly concerned on the sideline. Antonio Brown said, I get it.
He's been here before. This is Toussaint, and thought about taking it back, but takes a knee in the end zone, and back we go to the score.
Tough series for Artie Burns. First the hands to the face, and then a bit of a blown coverage. He's responsible for the deep third, so he gets fooled on this pattern, stays with it, but really has this entire area on the outside his responsibility. So he would have had to fall off Jordy Nelson there, turn him over to Mike Mitchell, and instead got stuck on him, and Randall Cobb made his way to the end zone.
Cobb's second touchdown reception of the season.
Hey, that's the mic, right?
Steelers from the 25. Pump fake. Nice move there by James to avoid the first guy, and then Martinez makes the tackle. It'll be second down. Dom Capers has been around a long time. The Green Bay defensive coordinator, was an assistant actually back in the early 90s with Pittsburgh. That led to his getting the head coaching job at Carolina when they came into the league in '95. After that, went down to Houston when they were an expansion team, and several years now under Mike McCarthy in Green Bay. Second down and 5.
Okay. 4-7, 4-7.
Pressure, gets it away, and drop wide open. James starting to look upfield before he looked it all the way in. It's third down and 5.
Yeah, going to bring some safety pressure here from Morgan Burnett coming right there, but then just play a zone defense behind it, and Ben's going to lollipop it over the top. Just a brilliant throw here, short of the safety, and James just can't catch it.
Snap it in a hurry. Flag is thrown. Catch is made. For the moment, it would be a first down. That's Rogers who gets taken down after a gain of 7. You've got 2 flags, one at the 28 and one all the way up at the 50. So likely 2 separate calls here. And they'll hash it out. Hockley will give us the information.
There were fouls by both teams on the play. Illegal shift by the offense. Not all 11 got set for a full second. There was also 12 men in the field in the defense. Those penalties offset. Replay third down.
Back we go to third down and 5.
Yeah, obviously Ben and Todd Haley trying to hurry that offense up because they knew they had too many defenders on the field, and unfortunately the receivers didn't have quite that same sense of urgency.
From the 30, Bryant shifting to the right side. Four-man rush. Roethlisberger throws, and this time it is caught at the 46-yard line, and that's Jesse James for a first down. So referee drops one. He collects that one. Gain of 17.
What a job by Alejandro Villanueva right here, as he's taking on the best pass rusher right now for the Green Bay Packers in Nick Perry, and gets him to the ground, and gets him to the ground without a holding call, allowing Ben to step up, and another sort of throw over the top. A lot of man coverage tonight so far for the Green Bay Packers.
Roethlisberger has started 9 of his first 12 for 71 yards. Did 6 different receivers on that first drive alone. Fires over the middle, and in and out of the hands of Rogers on a fastball. Second and 10. And a lot behind that one.
Yeah, he's throwing to other receivers because Antonio Brown is getting a pure double team on the outside. They are not going to let him win the game by himself. It is Tom Capers. They didn't really plan on having any one cornerback follow Antonio Brown. He said, but believe me, I'll have my share of double teams on him.
Swing. Yeah, alerted it.
Second and 10.
Okay.
Blue 80! Hey, alert, 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 alert!
50. Yeah.
Set!
Bell to the outside. And he gets wrapped up from behind by Blake Martinez, who leads the Packers in tackles by a mile. Third and long.
Marquise Pouncey, one of the best centers in the game, and just could not catch up to Martinez here. Watch him try and cut him off. But Martinez, who's really leading this team in tackles and has been doing that all season long, he has really improved as an inside backer.
42.
Second-year guy, drafted in the 4th round last year out of Stanford.
When you could hear Pouncey making those calls up there too.
Crowd
So
quiet.
quiet.
Yeah, it does. Very. And then throws over the middle, and that is picked off at the 45-yard line. If it stands, Demarius Randall is going to go all the way to the end zone.
I tell you, Al, he might have been bobbling that ball, so even if he was touched going to the ground, he likely didn't have control of it for a few ticks. Let's see.
Back we go. They're taking a look at it, obviously. It's a turnover. It's a scoring play. Does he collect it before it gets to the ground?
Is there contact there? You'd have to say right there.
Yep.
So Rodgers' hand on him.
So the interception figures to stand, but then they're going to call him.
We will review the ruling on the field
at the spot. So they review it. They review it on 2 counts here. Turnover and a scoring play. Probably come back, but it will be Green Bay's ball back at 30. Hockley puts the specs on. Checks out the tablet. It's likely to be an interception for sure. Ball doesn't hit the ground. But then does Rodgers make contact with him when he has possession? And there it is right there.
It definitely looks like it. Do you see it? So it definitely looks, and he's probably touching him there. It's, yeah, you can almost see right there.
Right, and he gets him again right there. And they've already started to march back, but in the meantime, you've got, before Hockley makes the call here, that's the 4th interception this season for Demarius Randall.
Randall is their star back there on that back end and plays that star position.
The pass was intercepted, but the interceptor was touched down by contact at the 45-yard line. Therefore, Green Bay's ball at that spot. First down, no timeouts are charged.
So Green Bay has it, a little over 2 to play in the quarter. 7-6. That's how Week 13 begins. Thursday Night Football right here on NBC. It's Washington and Dallas. A couple of, I don't know what to tell you, very hungry teams. Both a game under 500. Thursday Night Football, Washington, Dallas here on NBC. So, 1st and 10, you got Devontae Adams who comes back into the game. He was shaken up earlier from the 45. They begin this drive with a 1-yard run by Jamal Williams, a rookie from BYU. So there is Hundley. When Rodgers went down, McCarthy said, hey, look, I've got 3 years invested in him. I have full faith and confidence in him. A lot of people thought that the Packers might go out and get a quarterback. And, of course, every time somebody needs a quarterback, people think, are you going to hire Kaepernick? And he said, no, I've got my guy, Hundley, and Joe Callahan back of him. He's fully committed to him. 2nd down and 8. Rolling out. Hundley throwing, and it is along the sideline, out of bounds. Jordy Nelson was there. Throw was on the money, but Jordy was on the stripe. It'll be 3rd down. Cameron Hayward put the pressure on.
Yeah, the problem is it's just a little bit late. This ball should have come out a step sooner and would have had plenty of room for Jordy Nelson to get his feet down. And that really has been the issue for Brett Hundley. Can he time up his feet, get the ball out, release it a little quicker, and not have to sit and think about the reads as he's dropping back?
Third down and 8. As he moves backwards against Williams, and Jamal Williams is inside the 30, out in front, a Green Bay touchdown. 54 yards on a 3rd and 9 with Hundley throwing and backpedaling at the same time. What a beginning to this one, huh?
You know, we talk about 2-man all the time, and any time that you end up with these 2 deep safeties and man coverage, remember quarterbacks take off and run like that all the time? It's exactly what happened on that screen play. They blocked the guy in man coverage against Williams, and everybody else is chasing their man all over the field. You walk in for a touchdown. This has been a stunning start so far.
Very much so. Mason Crosby knocks it through with 1:22 remaining in the quarter. Green Bay, 2-touchdown underdog, up by 8 in Pittsburgh. Well, that Steeler defense has been so good. Their one vulnerability of this season, allowing only 9 TD passes, but 4 of those were long plays, and both tonight from long distance. From the 1-yard line, Martavis Bryant had a nice run back on the opening kickoff, and this time he gets escorted out of bounds. He gets a little action on the sideline, and no flag, so we go back to the TD.
Yeah, watch Shazier here. He has Jamal Williams in man coverage. He's going to try and flash a little blitz just to mess with the young quarterback, but then he gets caught in all the traffic of the screen. Now everybody else is playing man coverage down the field, so there's nobody to clean up that miss, and off the Green Bay Packers go, and Ryan Shazier knows that he got a little too cute.
Pittsburgh begins its 3rd drive of the game now from the 21-yard line. Green Bay up by 8. They get to Bell. A patented hesitation move of his. Takes it up to the 24-yard line. Le'Veon Bell trying to win the rushing title. That would be no surprise. What a player. I mean, not only does he run the ball, he catches. He's been tremendous through the years. Picked him in the 2nd round out of Michigan State. Tomlin went up there, met with him, loved him, got him in the draft, and he's been a gem.
And he has a great description of him. Thoughtfully non-rhythmic. That is exactly what he is.
Blue 20.
That hesitation move. Nobody does it like him. 2nd down and 7. Roethlisberger throws. Here's Bell. And he comes up a little bit short of the 1st down by 1.5 yards or so. It's 3rd down and that much.
Well, one guy you can count on playing his guts out no matter who it is, and that's Mike Daniels for the Green Bay Packers. This guy will come flying at your quarterback, come back and chase down a Le'Veon Bell from behind, and tonight he is going to have to be big. His running mate Kenny Clark is out with an ankle, so it is really on Mike Daniels tonight.
And Clark's had a great year. Play clock is down to 1 again. And it is the end of the quarter. Didn't have to run a play. End of 1. 14-6 Green Bay. Sunday Night Football back after these messages. Beautiful shot downtown Pittsburgh. Aerial coverage tonight being brought to you by Geico. At the confluence of the Allegheny to your left, the Monongahela to the right, forming the Ohio. The Monongahela does not get enough love. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya, and you've got the bus in the middle, Charlie Batch on the left, Tom Toll, one of the owners of the team, to the right, looking on alumni weekend as we start the 2nd quarter in what has been a pretty stunning 1st quarter. Green Bay up by 8, 3rd down and 1 from the 30. And Roethlisberger has time, throws, caught, 1st down. Antonio Brown making the catch. And take another look at it.
Packers staying with this man coverage, just coming across. Burnett's going to end up picking him up as they switch it off. Really, they needed a little bit there from Blake Martinez to give him a shot. He was within 5 yards and didn't get it done.
From the 32. On the outside. Bill. About 6. You know, Chris, you look at Green Bay. We saw Aaron Rodgers was throwing in Green Bay. He was throwing a little bit before the game tonight. We don't know if he comes back. They've got Tampa Bay and Cleveland the next couple of weeks. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no. And if they could pull off a big upset here tonight, then it makes that path a whole lot easier. Now, no guarantee you get Aaron Rodgers back. But if they get this one and one more, you feel pretty good that they're still alive.
That's Brown making the catch. And a 1st down. at the 49 of Green Bay. Remaining games for the Packers, who ran the table last year. Tampa Bay 4-7, Cleveland 0-11. They'll be favored in both of those. At Carolina, that's tough. Minnesota is a Saturday night game before Christmas Eve. We'll have it on NBC, and they finish it as they did last year at Detroit. And good protection again, and that is not caught at the 30-yard line. Eli Rogers can't haul it in. Second drops, second down and 10.
I tell you, Dom Capers is mixing up these coverages. Watch him rotate to cover 3, and somehow Ben, even catching the shotgun snap, realized it was a single high, threw it right to the seam, exactly where you should throw it, and just cannot make the play down the field. Eli Rogers. That was some brilliant quarterbacking that time by Ben.
But Darius Hayward Bay in the game now, number 88. Second and 10. Bell threads his way to the 43-yard line. It'll be third down for the Steelers.
One of the things the Pittsburgh Steelers love to do is get into these bunch formations. Some of it's for the pass, but for the most part, it is to widen the area that you have to defend on the run against Le'Veon Bell. So you can see how wide the line of scrimmage is for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you give Le'Veon Bell some space, you get cuts like that. That was nasty.
5 carries for the league's leading rusher tonight, 24 yards. 3rd and 5. Ben stepping up. He's going to take off, but he'll be tackled at the 41-yard line. Connor Fackrell making the tackle there, taking the spot normally occupied by Clay Matthews, inactive tonight. 4th down.
Boy, great job by Kyler Fackrell all the way around, and just going to keep chasing him right back through the pocket and make a huge stop and send the punt team out on the field. Just his pure hustle alone got that one done. Of course, he's in for Clay Matthews tonight.
Jordan Berry. A lot of frustration from Roethlisberger as he came off the field. He wanted to go for it on 4th and 2. Berry bounce it at the 10-yard line and then spin it inside the 5. Early second quarter, Green Bay up 14-6 at Heinz Field. Mike McCarthy, Green Bay's head coach, grew up in the Greenfield neighborhood here in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh born, bred. He is really Pittsburgh through and through. Went to school there, played basketball. His father owned a pub. There it was, the Pub House. Dad was a fireman and a policeman. It's his town, and now he's at Heinz Field here in Pittsburgh. Done a great job in Green Bay, 12 years there, and back home with a lot of family in attendance here tonight. Boy, those are some quintessential Pittsburgh scenes, weren't they? If you've been here, that's exactly what it looks like all around town. To the 6-yard line goes Jamal Williams.
Well, he is Pittsburgh through and through, though, isn't he? I mean, you could tell he was going off to Mass last night. His mom was in there lighting a candle for Aaron and Clay, so they're using the Pittsburgh churches maybe to work against the Steelers here tonight. But a very thoughtful guy, a guy that when you have a conversation with him, you feel like he literally could be your next door neighbor. Very humble, but obviously has been a brilliant coach for the Green Bay Packers.
And as a kid, a one-time toll collector on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. 2nd and 9 from the 6-yard line. Quick toss and reaching back for it is Adams. Short gain. His elementary school basketball team, 1975, 39-1.
Skinny little thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, he actually got a chance to meet Art Rooney, the Chief, the original. And he could still remember it like it happened yesterday. One of his friends was a friend of the Rooney's family and sat in the living room, and he actually had some idea about the school that his grandfather had gone to, and they talked a little football, and he loved that memory.
That Chief, I think, knew everybody in Pittsburgh. You got Randall Cobb now lined up in the backfield, stays in the block. The pass is caught on the outside, but going nowhere is Nelson. Artie Burns makes the tackle. You got a flag down right where the tackle was made, and Ed Hockley's crew will get together. Here's the announcement momentarily. It would be without the penalty, 4th down and 5. Ed, the old barrister, is bringing the entire jury in for this one. Gotta love the expressions.
Looks like it's on Green Bay.
Right. Open the mic. After all that, it's on 82. We can lip read that. Richard Rogers.
All right, let's take a look at it. There's Rogers, and he's going, yep. Little helmet to helmet shot back inside. He got flagged for it.
It's Sean Davis. Now you got Brown back to return the punt.
Kicking out of your own end zone to number 84. This is dangerous.
Justin Vogel. Be returnable from the 45-yard line. Brown, flags thrown. And Brown was going to take the ball all the way to about the 20-yard line, but you know what that normally means. You've got 2 flags down at the 45-yard line. Almost every time there's a flag thrown on a punt return, it's going to come back. And it certainly has the look of that right now. Here's your call right there.
Yeah, Brian Allen, number 29, looked like he grabbed a jersey and yanked him to the ground, but there's flags in a whole bunch of places, so.
Ed, open up your mic, or somebody open up his mic. One of them's declined.
All of them are pointing at the Steelers so far, though.
And the teams are already back inside the 40-yard line and beyond.
And that's just a huge play and a huge mistake by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not only do they get the big return, but now after having them backed up inside the 10-yard line, they're going to have to start this drive somewhere 35-ish, something like that.
It's about where they're going to put the ball at the 35-yard line.
Well, you just wonder, for special teams coaches, they must go crazy. With kickoff returns now, I don't even know why anybody brings it out of the end zone. The odds of getting a penalty on a kickoff return as opposed to starting on the 25-yard line, I think I'd tell my guys, forget about it. Just leave it in there. We'll take it on the 25. That's good enough.
You're on to something.
Got a couple other ideas, too.
I bet you do. Ball at the 35.
Blue 80.
Bell is the running back, but a fullback in the game as well. Nix. And a 4-yard gain up to the 39-yard line with 10 minutes to go in the first half. Pittsburgh came out pretty much on fire. Great drive. Went in for a touchdown, but then Green Bay with 2 touchdowns up by 8.
Watch this. It is so hard to double team Daniels. It is just so difficult. You think you have him stymied, but he is a much more athletic guy than you would imagine for a big fella inside. Great wrestler back in the day. He uses all that leverage to his advantage.
Squat, he's 6 feet even. 310. Bell only to the 40. And it's 3rd down and 5. Getting a little chippy here. Got Ahmad Brooks in on the play there. Brooks is the former San Francisco 49er. Came over about a month ago.
Watch this inside move here by Ahmad Brooks. Villanueva tried to give him a right hook, and Brooks countered with a left hook of his own. Now you're going to see a little fancy work out of the Green Bay Packers. It looks like 2 deep safeties. They have not shown one thing and played that defense the entire night, and they won't again here.
Four-man rush. Ben steps up, fires over the middle, caught Brown, and Brown free inside the 30, takes it to the 20-yard line. Tackled by Clinton Dix. Antonio Brown, he is something special.
High-low here, double coverage, zone defense underneath. Should have been plenty of defense there. And you just can't seem to stop Antonio Brown. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the biggest guy in the world. And yet season after season after season, he is leading the National Football League, or second in catches and yards. An amazing, amazing story out of Central Michigan.
6th round draft choice back in 2010. The 39-yard gain. Now Bell takes the ball to the 17-yard line. Players to finish first or second in catches for 5 or more seasons. That's some list. Don Hudson, the great Packer, Ray Berry, Lionel Taylor with the Broncos in the early days of the American Football League. Look at that. Antonio Brown. And he gets doubled every game. 2nd and 6 at the 17-yard line. Roethlisberger to the end zone, caught for the touchdown by Martavis Bryant. $17 yards, and it takes them a little less than 3 minutes to go down the field, starting at their own 35. All right. That Bryant and Brown. Ben wants to make sure the touchdown stands. Here it is again.
Josh Hawkins in man coverage, really no match for Martavis Bryant, who they get their feet tangled up at the end. But that was a direct case of what happened the play before that. You had double coverage once again on Antonio Brown, which meant that they had one-on-one with Bryant, and that's when this offense gets great. If they get second weapons going other than Antonio and Le'Veon, I don't know how you'll stop this offense.
Tomlin loves to go for 2. He will here to try to tie the game. You saw the numbers on Roethlisberger. Pittsburgh has been hugely successful in converting on 2-point conversions. To Brown for the deuce. Can't stop him. Beats Clinton Dix. 7:20 remaining in the half. The long pass to Brown. Bryant to the end zone, 2-pointer to Brown, and we're tied at 14. Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, PA. Home of the Steelers since 2001. Game tied at 14 halfway through the second quarter. Trevor Davis is going to run it back to the 17. Tackled by L.J. Fort, and we go to Michelle.
Well, Al, about 2.5 hours before the game tonight, Aaron Rodgers was on the field throwing, and he was hitting passes of 30 to 50 yards. And he told me today is a rehab day where, in addition to throwing, he works on strength and range of motion. He has yet to have an x-ray of the fractured collarbone. He told me there's really no upside because if it's healed, well, he's still on IR, and if it's not healing, it's disheartening. But he says he feels really good, Al.
Well, he had the surgery done right after the injury in Southern California, went back to Green Bay about 10 or 12 days later. And he's there every day, working with Hundley, offering encouragement. Hundley out of the pocket, down the sideline, and off the hands of Jamal Williams, who was coming off that 54-yard touchdown reception. Ryan Shazier put the pressure on Hundley. 2nd and 10.
One of the worst things you can do catching a football is stick your hands out too early. You stick them out too early, and it makes your head bob up and down. I can't even really explain it. You're better off just keeping running, keep those arms moving, and then extend them out. You do that, and it looks like that ball is just bouncing in front of you.
Never heard that.
Really?
Yeah. That's great, wonderful analysis. I like that. 2nd down and 10. They give it to Ripkowski. to the 22-yard line. Third down. Last Packer QBs other than Favre or Rodgers to start 5 in a season go back all the way to 91 when the Magic Man, Don Mikowski, started 8 games and Mike Tomczak started 7. And now you've got Hundley. Of course, we get all those years with Favre as the Iron Man. Rodgers has been hurt from time to time, but nobody else was able to get in there on a regular basis.
They have made it awfully easy on Hundley so far. A screen and a blown coverage cannot make it easy on him.
3rd and 6. Hundley stepping up, looking for that first down and dives for it and should have it. Got to the line to gain before he's tackled there by William Gay. First down.
All right, here's what you would see from Aaron Rodgers. You've got a 4-man rush, so let's go this way. You step up and attack the defense, get up in that B gap there beside the guard. Now you can either throw it down the field or take off and run with the football. Last week in that game against the Ravens, he was doing what so many young quarterbacks do, taking off and running to the right, wide to the outside. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers gave him a good lesson this week, as did Mike McCarthy.
Stack the backfield. You got 4 guys in the backfield, and they get the ball to Trevor Davis. And he takes it out to the 32. Davis, second-year guy out of Cal, picks up 5 at second down and 5.
Pretty interesting formation, but one of these early stars of this one is Aaron Ripkowski, the fullback, because he has been doing some job as a lead blocker. There is TJ Watt, a guy that a lot of people thought was about to get drafted by the Green Bay Packers. Instead, they traded the pick. Next pick, the Steelers took.
Traded with Cleveland for a couple of draft choices. Now tripped up a yard shy is Jamal Williams. When you look at the running backs for Green Bay, well, Ty Montgomery would be your #1 guy. And then they drafted 3 rookies. Aaron Jones was really coming along. He was looking good, but both Montgomery and Jones are out. So they go with Jamal Williams, who's a 4th-round pick out of Brigham Young. Ripkowski is the fullback, and Devontae Mays is another rookie who's active tonight, whose career started last week with a fumble and then another fumble and a 1-yard loss and an ankle injury.
But Ripkowski, the guy that knows the protections the best, so he's in.
And they give it to Cobb, but he gets smothered before he can pick up the first down. So Cobb working his way to the inside, takes a little shovel and gets knocked down. It's 4th down and 1.
Well, the star player on this defensive line is Cameron Hayward right here. And just watch him track this ball right down the line of scrimmage, complete control against Bakhtiari, and no way you're cutting up the field. All 3 of those defensive linemen really meeting at the running back.
There's Brown standing back at his own 11-yard line. Justin Vogel, a rookie from Miami, sends it into the night sky. Brown grabs it at the 16 and gets tackled at the 23-yard line. 3.5 to go in the half. 14-14 in Pittsburgh. Tiger Woods in action, hosting some of the biggest names in golf. Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, and more. Hero World Challenge Golf Channel starts at Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern and continuing Saturday 2:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Game tied at 14. Pittsburgh from the 23 beginning this drive. Roethlisberger's had good protection tonight. Hangs in the pocket, then he shovels it to Bell. And Bell gets wrestled back by a quartet of white shirts. Gain of 8. Great looking rookie is Juju Smith-Schuster. Terrific rookie season, but he is not playing tonight. Hamstring pull. Hope to have him back next week. Turned 21 years old on Wednesday.
Boy, what a night he had in Detroit. We were there, right?
Tremendous. Week after he had his bicycle stolen, but was returned.
Chained up the bicycle
right.
the sideline.
Got his driver's license in the interim. And Bell dragging Packers out to the 37-yard line, first down.
I tell you, Al, one of my favorite things that happened in the NFL this year are those end zone celebrations. And I'll tell you why. Because we see these young people for what they are. They're in their 20s, they're fun-loving, social media, all that kind of stuff. So we get a chance to meet them. For the most part, people who watch the NFL sometimes, they see the issues that gets attached to these players. But those celebrations have let us see young kids having fun with football, and I love watching it. I really do.
Some very creative choreography has gone into those. Up to the 40-yard line goes Le'Veon Bell, and that is going to take us in all likelihood to the 2-minute warning. And there you go. 2 minutes to the half, 14-14, Green Bay and Pittsburgh. So to halftime coming your way, guys will discuss Dak's frustration in Dallas. Raiders win today. Can they overtake the Chiefs? And don't forget the Chargers there as well. And a wild scramble in the AFC West. All coming away on the Toyota halftime. 2nd down and 7 now for the Steelers at the 40-yard line. Steelers led early, 6-0. Green Bay caught him, went ahead 14-6, and the Steelers with a touchdown, 2-point conversion. Knotted at 14. Roethlisberger running through the middle to the 45-yard line for a first down. Ben's done that a few dozen, maybe hundreds of times in his career.
Yeah, man coverage, you'll see everybody running, and so when they've got their backs to it, the option for the quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, veteran quarterbacks, they know the minute they see that coverage, they're going to run the football. All you have to do is kind of weave your way through there.
14-yard gain, his longest run of the season. Little backhanded shovel is dropped by Bell. 2nd down and 10, just looking for an escape hatch there.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers very lucky to have Chris Hubbard on the outside going against Nick Perry there, their best pass rusher. But Chris Hubbard actually has more snaps than does the true starter Marcus Gilbert, who's suspended now for 4 games, but they feel very, very comfortable with Hubbard in there.
Violation of performance-enhancing drugs, the reason for the Gilbert suspension. 124. Steelers have all of their timeouts. 2nd down and 10. Flip. Bell is taken down. Morgan Burnett makes the tackle at the 44-yard line, and Pittsburgh immediately takes a timeout before 3rd and 7. As Sunday Night Football is being brought to you by Untuckit, shirts designed to be worn untucked. By Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. By Bud Light, brewed to be enjoyed responsibly. And by Verizon, best gifts on the best network. Go back to Super Bowl 45. They played it at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Great game. Packers won it 31-25 to give McCarthy his Super Bowl win over Mike Tomlin, who won his Super Bowl after the 2008 season in a tremendous game against the Arizona Cardinals. 3rd down and 7 now from the 43-yard line. Does its job, and then the pass is a little behind and incomplete. Brown, the whole crowd looking for a flag. Ben's looking for it as well. Devon House covering on the play. There is no laundry, and it's 4th down and 7.
Yeah, sticky man coverage everywhere you go across the field. They have been committed to it pretty much throughout the course of the night. See if House gives them a little tug there. I guess the official didn't feel like that was enough. But it's been a battle on the outside, and that is a huge stop here before the half, and Ben can't believe it.
Bury the punt, boy, almost got that one blocked. High spinning kick, fair caught at the 10 by Trevor Davis. 66 seconds remaining in the half. Back in 30 seconds. There's our old buddy, the bus, Jerome Bettis, and the cowboy hat is always Mel Blount. And Mean Joe Green ready to come out onto the field and be honored before this big crowd at Heinz Field at halftime.
What do you think they're talking about down there? It's just football.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. You get football guys together, they talk football. And Mel Blount back there with the cowboy hat on, I never want to see him in coverage again.
He's a great listener in that conversation. Meanwhile, we've got Williams now bursting out to the 22-yard line. Having a nice night. He was on the receiving end of that 54-yard touchdown pass.
He's a good player. You know, he really is. You watch him run, you watch him block. He's a good player. He's shown it tonight.
This is his longest run of the year, a dozen yards. And he's able to slip through, but only momentarily before he's tackled at the 27-yard line. And Green Bay will take a timeout here. Green Bay will also get the ball to start the second half. So a little two for action here, at least trying to get, if they can, into field goal range and take the lead.
Well,
talk about these two iconic franchises. They were the original 9 current NFL teams in existence since the 1930s. And there they are. And of course, you've got the original line, the fewest head coaches. The Bears had 13, Green Bay 14, the Steelers 16. NFL championships are there. Green Bay and Pittsburgh, very solid, stable franchise. Of course, in Chicago, George Halas owned the team, so he coached them for 40 years on 4 separate occasions.
Talk about job stability.
Right.
That works.
Connie Mack with the Philadelphia A's. Third down on the gain of 1 here, so it's third down. They're going to let the clock run down. It's almost as if Green Bay will be satisfied to go into the locker room tied, because they're in no hurry to get a snap off here from their own 29-yard line. I think McCarthy feels at this point, hey, it's good enough. We're tied at the half. We get the ball, see what happens in the third quarter.
Yeah, what did he tell us? Think Navy, Notre Dame. Going
Right.
to try and keep it close till the fourth quarter and see what we can do.
Game tied at 14. Coming up next, Toyota halftime, right after these messages from your NBC station.
Want to stay up to date? Hey Siri, show me football scores. Welcome to the Toyota Halftime. Let's go places.
Well, perhaps a bit of a surprise. The Steelers have had the better of play, including this Martavis Bryant touchdown, but the Packers right in this one. All tied at 14 at the break, and here to talk about it, Dan, Tony, and Rodney.
All right,
Fellas.
Mike, thank you. In the pregame, Rodney wondered aloud if maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers would be overlooking the Green Bay Packers. You said no. Do you still feel that way?
I feel that way. I don't think they overlooked them, but this is what I saw at practice on Friday. I saw some drop balls by the offensive guys. I saw blown coverages and guys running wide open. I think this is who the Steelers are.
That's the same thing you saw right now in the first half.
That's who the Steelers are, but they're going to come back and they're going to play well the second half.
You must show every opponent the same respect. Don't look forward.
All right, in the NFC South, New Orleans and Carolina both 8-3. The Falcons are still hovering. They're 7-4. Let's handicap this division.
Well, I thought it was a good sign for the Carolina Panthers today to score that many points without Cam Newton really having a good day. But I like the Falcons in this division. I just like where they are, the energy, the way this offense is playing now. This is what we expected all year, Rodney.
Yeah, Coach, but the division is so close. I think it comes down to which team is the healthiest. And the Saints, the injuries are starting to pile up. Carolina, they use Cam Newton too much in the run game. They can't run the ball consistently. If I had to pick a team, maybe I'll pick the Falcons.
Well, I look at Falcons' schedule. They got New Orleans twice, and they still have Carolina as well. In the AFC West, after 4 weeks, the Chiefs were 4-0, the Chargers 0-4. Well, who do you like now?
You know what? I'm going to agree with you, Coach. I was on a Chiefs bandwagon, but I agree with you. The Chargers should win this division. They have the best quarterback. They have the best defense, which I don't remember ever being able to say that. And they have the easiest schedule.
Yeah, I talked about the Chargers last week. I love that front four. Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram have been playing great for them. And you're right. They have right now the best quarterback play with Phillip Rivers. He's been consistent. Keenan Allen has come on. I like where the Chargers are sitting.
Why are you looking at me like that?
He didn't want to admit it a couple of weeks ago.
No, I thought the Chargers would win 10 games this year. Kansas City hosts the Raiders, and then they got the Chargers in Week 15. If you're Andy Reid, do you
stick with Alex Smith? I'm going to answer that because you don't want to go with a rookie quarterback behind that offensive line, Coach. And you're still in first place, excuse me.
And no, I don't change at all. And here's what I do. If I'm Alex Smith tomorrow, I go into Andy's office and say, not only don't take me out, let me win games for you.
I like that. Coming up, Mike Tirico on Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Last year's two top picks leading their teams to the top of their divisions. But first, Toyota reminds us, sometimes all it takes to inspire your team is good old-fashioned pep talk.
On NBC.
Claiborne gives chase.
Oh, hit and sack. Prescott sacked by Claiborne for the third time today, and he comes away with the ball.
Prescott escapes, throws, picked off in the end zone.
5 or 6 turnovers in 2 games. I mean, definitely. I mean, I've been seasons without that many, so it's very frustrating.
Well, these struggles of the Cowboys offense need to end quickly. We'll see what happens Thursday night, which starts Week 13. Dallas at home against Washington. Really a must-win for both teams at 5 and 6. We'll have the coverage for you here on NBC beginning 7:30 Eastern. By the way, if Washington wins, the 10-1 Eagles will clinch the NFC East title. Last year, the Cowboys' Dak Prescott led the Cowboys to the division title. But this year, the top 2 quarterbacks from his draft class have a chance to win their first division titles. Today, last year's number 2 overall pick, Carson Wentz, led Philadelphia to a 9th straight win, a blowout victory over the Bears. Wentz now leads the NFL with 28 touchdown passes on the year. And later in the afternoon, the number 1 pick from last year, Jared Goff, followed suit, rebounding from last week's bad loss to guide the Rams past New Orleans that snapped the Saints' 8-game win streak. Goff, if you remember, was 0-7 as a starter last year. He's now led the Rams to what's already guaranteed to be the team's best season in more than a decade. Now, both sophomore star quarterbacks enter the final 5-game stretch with their respective teams in first place, but with both relatively unproven in these types of games. Over the next month, December football, you know it gets tough. It includes the first NFL matchup between the two 2 weeks from today in LA, and that will be something. Tomorrow on Today, the dirty truth about those makeup counters at stores across the country. Are all those free samples spreading germs and putting your health at risk? Tomorrow, an undercover investigation, only on Today. Great champions here in Pittsburgh. They open a Hall of Honor, and many of those faces need no names or jersey numbers. Steeler greats honored at halftime. Al and Chris have the second half when we come back.
This has been the Toyota Halftime. Let's go places. Tuesday. Tonight's first half highlights are brought to you by Chevrolet.
Stand up and cheer, stomp your feet, start clapping. NBC Sunday night about to happen.
A little shovel pass for the touchdown. Xavier Grimble in for 6. Deep downfield and wide open is Randall Cobb for a touchdown. Jamal Williams out in front, a Green Bay touchdown.
This has been a stunning start so far.
To the end zone, caught for the touchdown by Martavis Bryant.
Chevy has earned J.D. Power Dependability Awards for cars, trucks, and SUVs.
4 touchdown passes in the game. Locked up 14-14 at halftime at Heinz Field. Numbers for Hundley, only thrown 9 passes but completed 7. 2 touchdowns. He had 2 TDs in his previous 6 games. The numbers for Ben, hitting 68%. 2 touchdowns for him and 1 interception. Meanwhile, Jamal Williams, a 54-yard touchdown catch, longest scrimmage TD by a Green Bay rookie in years. The numbers on Brown and Bryant. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle DeFoya. Speaking of Michelle, here she is.
Well, Mike Tomlin, usually a man of many words, had very few at halftime, saying, We have to play 60 minutes. That's our job. We don't define ourselves by 30 minutes of football. We've got to keep playing. As for Mike McCarthy, pretty happy with Brett Hundley and the offensive balance that his team had in the first half, but he pointed to some key mistakes on third downs, conversions he said they're going to have to make to sustain their offense in the second half now.
All right, Michelle, and Green Bay starts with the ball here, and this is Trevor Davis bringing it back up to the 25-yard line.
Very nicely done by Brett Hundley in the first half, and he learned his lesson. Under pressure, he had to learn how to step up into the pocket. A week ago, he just simply would run wide to the right and try and make a play, and it didn't work. Now that he's stepping up into the so-called B gaps and then making decisions, looks so much better. And you'll see his throwing motion. There's a little bit of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers in him, both feet off the ground often when he throws the ball. So, as he put it, they have a pretty good quarterback school there in Green Bay. I was thrilled when I got drafted there.
Oh, yeah. Pretty good mentor. Rodgers, you got McCarthy, Alex Van Pelt as well. Big hole through the middle and a 9-yard gain there for Jamal Williams, who would have been number 3 on the depth chart if the other two guys hadn't been hurt. Ty Montgomery and Aaron Jones, 2nd down and 1.
I tell you, this run game has been looking pretty good too. Watch Lane Taylor come around on the power to the other side. Ripkowski, another good block, and we've seen Jamal Williams. He is a sort of a one-cut, the old Denver Broncos kind of runner. You know, he's a big guy, physical. He doesn't weigh 230 pounds, but he runs big.
40 yards rushing and 59 receiving tonight, and this time no gain here. So it's 3rd down and 1 on the opening drive of the second half for the Packers to come into the game with a record of 5-5.
You know, the biggest thing that Mike McCarthy has to figure out an answer for is they cannot pick up these slot blitzes, and a lot of people have trouble when they play Pittsburgh. But we have seen Mike Hilton, number 31, in the backfield, making that tackle and making many plays here tonight.
Load up the right side of the line on 3rd down and 1. Give it to Williams. Finds the crease. 3 runs for the rookie. Out to the 38-yard line he goes. 1st down.
Look at all the extra beef over here. 2 tight ends and an extra tackle on the outside. That's 74 Ulrich John. And so they look like they're going to run inside and just simply jumps to the outside. So McCarthy doing a nice job protecting Jason Spriggs, his right tackle on that side.
Fullback is Ripkowski. Off play action. Sends it back to Williams. And Williams escapes the tackle and gets the ball out to the 45-yard line. Shazier able to get him there after he broke away from Artie Burns. Gain of 7.
For as great a year as it's been for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they've had one issue, believe it or not, it's missed tackles. Now this team is so fast and they hustle so much that oftentimes they can cover it up, like the speed of Shazier there to come back and make the play. But too many times this year they have missed the initial tackle.
And that's odd because they're number 2 in points allowed, 4th overall. So everything else working. Cobb is in the slot, fake toss. Hundley rolling and then throwing and throws it into the bench. Nobody open. Incomplete. 3rd down and 3 now.
Well, Mike McCarthy, you know there's nothing he would like better than to come back into Pittsburgh without Aaron Rodgers and somehow sneak out of here with a win. One of the things that he's been able to do in this game is establish a running game, which lets his young quarterback set up play action, set up bootlegs. Now let's see if he gets back there, steps up and through one more time and makes a play with his feet.
He's speaking into Hundley's helmet. He had a lot of information to dispense right there. And the play clock was down to 1, so Green Bay has to take a timeout and not make it a 3rd down and 8.
Well, let's take a look at Brett Hundley. We measure quarterbacks release time all the time. There's the tracer, nice tight release, no excess. His time, I would guess, is pretty good. Yep, 0.32 seconds. And pretty consistent with that. And watch his feet. They're off the ground. And if you know Aaron Rodgers, if you know Brett Favre, you know that they lived with their feet off the ground. Why do you do that? Quarterbacks get hurt when people roll up on them after they've made a pass, so they've sort of trained themselves to throw the ball. They all had such great arms, they can throw it doing whatever they wanted to do. So they did it jumping in the air.
Exactly. 3rd down and 3. Ripkowski is in the backfield. Hunley, shoulder shake, and breaking free down the sideline is Devontae Adams. Cuts it back to the inside. Devontae Adams into the end zone. So Hunley, who had 2 touchdowns in all of the games he has played in Rodgers' absence, 3 tonight. That's 55 yards and another big scoring play given up by the Pittsburgh defense.
Watch the old hesitate and go right here. Man coverage on the outside against Cody Sensabaugh. They have been setting that up all night long. Just when you think that all you're going to get out of Hunley are those short throws, he throws one over the top on a chilly night. He learned a lesson last week in chilly Green Bay that you have to throw it a little farther. He did. How about Brett Hundley and the Green Bay Packers? This is amazing.
2 touchdown underdogs, and they're up by 7 early in the 3rd quarter. Wednesday night, NBC SN. 7:30 Eastern time, Tampa Bay taking on Boston. Wednesday night rivalry. Lightning were in town here last night. Were beaten by the Penguins. Lightning Bruins hockey Wednesday on NBC SN. A couple of yards in the end zone. Taking a knee there is Bryant. And back we go.
Well, if you're going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have to stop number 84, Antonio Brown. How do you do that? A little underneath and over the top coverage. They've been trying to disguise it all night long, but that allows that underneath guy to simply trail and play any move that he has. So what has to happen? Somebody else has to step up and make a play, and so far tonight that other somebody has been Martavis Bryant, but it is Antonio Brown who consistently draws the double teams. You know, you don't have to guess who the best players are on respective teams. You just watch the tape. Whoever's getting double teamed all the time, that's who it is.
Brown 4 catches, 74 yards on the ground now. Hopping and skipping his way for a gain of 4 is Le'Veon Bell. They've been able to keep him pretty much in check. Leads the league in rushing. 11 carries tonight for 45 yards. What a night for Hundley.
You know, and it was interesting. We asked him about, all right, give us the moment when you saw Aaron Rodgers on the ground and you knew that you were going in. I said, I'll be honest with you, my heart was beating 1,000 miles an hour as I went in there. But it's the difference between Hundley tonight and last week, night and day.
2nd and 6, and there is Bell getting away from a would-be tackler or 2 to the 40-yard line. 1st down.
But you just take a look at this. If you're playing defense here, you've got to fill all these gaps, right, with somebody, and then you just have to sit there. And that is counter to everything that a defensive player thinks, has been trained to do. They want to attack. They want to go get the ball carrier. And yet if you do that against Le'Veon Bell, he's going to jump cut you and go in some other hole.
Slide to the left as he did there. Here he is again. Picking and threading for a gain of 3 before he's pushed back. 2nd down. Let's call it 2nd and 6 after a gain of 4 as Haley calls in the next play.
Yeah, and there's always a little conflict between the receivers and the quarterbacks and the running backs and the head coach and the defensive coordinator. They like it when you run and you run some time off the clock. All those sort of things blend in to any football team. But if they get Le'Veon Bell going and Ben can go play action, this team's nearly impossible to stop.
Through 40 in Tennessee a week ago Thursday. Now Bell for a gain of 2. So it'll be a 3rd down and 4 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 5-game winning streak for these guys and an 8-2 record coming into the game tonight.
Well, here you go. You're going to get Morgan Burnett coming in late, number 42, and watch him play like a linebacker in there, completely one-on-one against one of the best backs in football. And boy, have they missed Morgan Burnett. So happy to have him back. He is the main communicator on the back end for the Green Bay Packers.
Missed 4 of the last 5 games. Again, joined us late without Clay Matthews tonight. As the pass is caught in Green Bay territory by Martavis Bryant. Good grab to convert on a 3rd down and 4.
It's a big first down, but you finally get one-on-one coverage on the outside against Antonio Brown. And I don't think he's going to kick over the Gatorade bucket again, but he might. He knows how rare that occasion is, and Ben just did not see that opportunity.
Ball at the 44. Roethlisberger over the middle. Bryant. And Martavis after a short gain. So he has now caught 4 tonight for 39 yards. 2nd and 8.
There we go. How about that combination? Neither one of them's ever thrown a pass with their feet on the ground. He looks like no big deal. Like, you know, yeah, we do this all the time. But this would be a moment, wouldn't it? This would be a moment for Brett Hundley if he could come into this stadium and knock off the red-hot Pittsburgh Steelers.
It would be stunning. 2nd down and 7. Bell swings to the outside. Before he is forced out of bounds, we have a flag. Blake Martinez forced him out. And Ed Hockley is our ref tonight. Hear from him for the first time in the 2nd half.
Offense, number 53. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Call it on the great center, Marquise Pouncey.
Well, you get Pouncey come all the way to the outside. Now let's take a look at that. Sort of hook that helmet. Brooks did a good job of selling it. You know, it's not exactly soccer, but you're going to get some of those flags. You better be a pretty good actor as well. And Mike Tomlin is acting mad right now.
And you saw that graphic. No penalties tonight for the Green Bay Packers.
And no sacks for either team.
Yeah. Hundley was sacked 6 times last week against Baltimore. 2nd and 17. Tipped in the air and intercepted. And that is Blake Martinez who holds it in. And Green Bay will have the ball at the Pittsburgh 45-yard line. Roethlisberger throwing his 2nd pick of the night.
Just a great job by Ahmad Brooks. As soon as he sees Le'Veon Bell sneaking underneath, what does he have to do? He's got to get his hands up and makes one of the biggest plays of the game so far. Really good athleticism for a long-term veteran in the league, but those guys can smell those screens coming.
Roethlisberger had 5 interceptions against Jacksonville in week 5 and 5 total in the other 9 games. Now 2 tonight. Martinez having a heck of a season, and Green Bay has it at the 45.
14-point favorite, huh?
That's what they tell me.
Wow.
And I would know.
Green 18, Green 10.
45. We're just staying abreast of everything. You're not. Right. 8 of 6 for Jamal Williams to make it 2nd down and 4.
Let's take a look at this touchdown pass one more time. We've talked about it so many times. Watch Hundley's feet. Neither foot on the ground as he makes a throw 50 yards down the field. He was telling us that it's the first time he'd ever really played in cold weather last week, and he learned that you got to throw it harder in cold weather. He kept underthrowing the ball in the deep balls.
Give it to Williams, and he will get stopped about a yard short of the first down. That's Vince Williams with the low tackle, 3rd and short.
Yeah, you just don't think about it, but a young quarterback out of UCLA, there's Brooks, who came up with that big tip there and a couple big plays in a row. But a young man that plays for UCLA, perfect weather, right next to your house, right next to Bel Air Country Club. Life is really grand. Everything's good out there. You come to Green Bay, and it ain't that.
No. Chip Kelly, of course, taking the UCLA job. Meanwhile, look at this. You got a 3-man stack to the left side. Bring Williams back into the backfield, give it to him, and he has enough for the first down and a few more. Working his way to the 30. You know, Hundley walks into our meeting last night, hadn't met him before. You like him. He's confident without being cocky or arrogant.
He really was, and he's just been so impressive. Watch this guy right here. Never gets credit for anything he does run blocking. One of the better pass blockers in the league. But David Bakhtiari just stayed that time with Hayward and just kept pushing until they end up with that first down.
You feel that confidence building right now. Up by 7. Have it at the 31-yard line. 5:45 left in the third. Off the fake. Stepping up. And then down he goes at the 36-yard line. Could not escape. LT Walton was in there. It'll be second down. And 15.
Well, you talk about a well-coached football team. LT Walton, a defensive tackle, defensive end, on a loop's going to come around out here and contain one of the more athletic quarterbacks in the league, and that's what set up that sack on that bootleg. That is just great coaching, great playing by LT Walton.
First sack of the game for either team. 2nd and 15.
Now very much on the edge of field goal range as well.
Just do get it off, and then it's over the middle at the 30-yard line, and Nelson cannot hold it in. Covered by T.J. Watt. 3rd and 15.
Are you kidding me? An outside linebacker against Jordy Nelson is going to make this play in coverage? Are you kidding me? That's fantastic. Unbelievable. And really, the days of outside linebackers in Pittsburgh with 12 sacks may be gone because they ask those guys to cover so much now. That was great.
Pretty good bloodlines, the Watt family for the JJ. 3rd and 15. Hundley under pressure, and they're going to get him at the 38-yard line. Cam Hayward knocks him down there, so it'll be 4th down. Of course, Crosby is one of the best in the league, but you are looking right now at about a 58-yard field goal attempt.
Pressure the other way. Cam Hayward one-on-one against arguably the best pass blocker, least a tackle in the National Football League, and he makes a sack. Amazing.
57-yard attempt. Tough to kick him here, but at least there's no wind tonight. Didn't matter. Not even close. Of course, what that means now is that Pittsburgh is going to get the ball near midfield. Green Bay up by 7. Sunday Night Football brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. By Toyota, let's go places. By Walmart, rock this Christmas with Walmart. And by State Farm, here to help life go right. Yesterday, Western PA Class 1A Championship. Jeanette Jayhawks beat Amani Christian 35-34. So the Pittsburgh Steelers have the ball at the 47. You got to look back at that attempt, a 57-yard attempt at a stadium which has the lowest rate of 50-yard field goals in the National Football League since it opened in 2001, only 35%. League average over that period of time is 62%. Bell gets away from Martinez and then picks up 13 yards and a first down to the 41-yard line. Kevin King makes the stop there with 4 minutes to go in the third.
One thing Dom Capers knew his guys would not be able to do. If you have Le'Veon Bell in open space, nobody ever makes the tackle. Nobody. I mean, Martinez, arguably their best tackler on this team, and he got about a half an ankle. Is that a stat?
I thought it was more like 3/8, but we'll go with a half. From the 41-yard line. Bell swinging to the left and then thrusts forward for a gain of 3.
Well, there just isn't anybody better since 2014 at making people miss. It doesn't matter if he's running the ball, if he's catching passes out of the backfield. He is the most elusive of all running backs. And throw on to that the fact that he's a relatively big guy. A big guy that breaks arm tackles all the time. And it's tough. Tough to get him down.
6'1", 225 is Bell. There's the play fake. Ben sliding to his left. He's going to take off and pick up a first down, getting to the 28-yard line. He's chased down there by Mike Daniels. Another Steeler first down.
Well, they're doing a good job of taking Antonio Brown away with these safeties rolling over the top of him. Artavis on the other side against Green Bay Packers. He was trying to get across the field, but the protection just so good. I mean, this is a very, very underrated pass protecting football team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. In the first half, almost no pressure at all. 4 out of 27 snaps was Ben under pressure.
Ben this time, no pressure there either. Bell swings away from Clinton Dix and then gets tripped up at about the 15-yard line by Martinez. But not until he picks up another first down. Gain of 15 yards for him.
He is a hypnotist. Watch what happens right here. And then as the safety comes up, Clinton Dix, one of the best tacklers in football, no question. Really didn't even touch him. I mean, that's unbelievable. You give him 3 or 4 yards of space to turn around and see who he's attacking. Almost impossible to get him on the ground.
Minute and a half to the end of the quarter. Ben again. Lots of time. Throws. Hauled in by Brown. What a catch. Covered there by Devon House, and that sets up a first down and goal.
You know, I'd say it's incredible, but I've seen it so many times it's not so incredible. Last time we were in here, he caught one against his helmet. Special player.
Ben rushes him to the line and slows it down. Didn't want Green Bay to substitute. First and goal. Throws to the corner of the end zone and incomplete, but a flag comes in. So that time it's House on Bryant with the flag thrown.
Pass interference, defense, number 31. The foul occurred in the end zone, so the ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. First down.
Yeah, pretty easy to see that Devon House had that jersey hooked in his fist. And now that incredible 3-play defensive stand by the Pittsburgh Steelers, the decision to kick that field goal, and the Steelers are taking full advantage.
First Green Bay penalty. Meanwhile, Demarius Randall is on his way to the locker room, so they're minus their defensive back who had an earlier interception, and Roethlisberger is now going to throw a fade into the corner, and Brown is there for the touchdown. Beats Kevin King.
So their best cover guy, Demarius Randall, is gone. They put in a one-armed Kevin King, who has a bad shoulder, who really can't attack Antonio Brown because of that shoulder. And now it starts to be pitch and catch as Antonio Brown does his typical Sunday Night Football thing.
Almost unfair in the matchup. 6 catches now for 86 yards. Boswell, who missed an extra point after their first touchdown. They got the 14 on the 2-point conversion. Now for the extra point, which would tie the game. Perfect. 50 seconds remaining in the third quarter in Pittsburgh. Good one. 21-21 on Sunday Night Football. Wednesday here on NBC, Law and Order Special Victims Unit. Olivia's secret is finally revealed, and you will see it Wednesday night right here, 9 Eastern and Pacific, 8 Central and Mountain on NBC. Terrible towels waving by the thousands. Green Bay with a touchback, and let's go back to that defensive sequence, partner.
Yeah, they're in field goal range. They've got the ball first down and 10 at the 31-yard line. Bootleg, LT Walton, great play makes it. Next great play, T.J. Watt in pass coverage against Jordy Nelson. And then Cameron Hayward, who has never been to the Pro Bowl, remarkably, now with his 8th sack on the season. That was something special. And then it forced McCarthy into a decision on that field goal, and you wonder if frustration may have been a little part of that.
I would think so, because it's a good point. Because he goes and tries a 57-yarder at the hardest place to kick a field goal in the National Football League. Albeit it's dry tonight, not windy, but still 57 is 57 from the 25-yard line. And now Pittsburgh with all the momentum. Mike Hilton leading the charge there. Williams dropped for a loss of 2, 2nd down and 12 as the seconds tick down to end the 3rd quarter shortly.
Well, you get the slot blitz and you get this big stud, Cameron Hayward, on the outside. He is on the left side of Lane Taylor, works his way back, but once again, Mike Hilton coming off the hedge. Cameron Hayward, it's unfair that he gets measured compared to 4-3 defensive ends who get to work the edge. His is so much harder to get sacks, and yet year after year, a real star.
2nd down and 12. Hundley goes into a lot of traffic, and that is incomplete. Richard Rodgers, the intended receiver, just as well that it was incomplete. It's 3rd down and 12.
Well, that time they basically had a spy on everything else, and there's Aaron Rodgers, and there's nothing you can do to train a young quarterback for being in Pittsburgh. Terrible towels waving everybody, and he's got to learn a new trick. There's Hayward sitting in there on the spy on the tight end screen. That time
Cobb
Steelers
comes
knew
into the
exactly what's
slot.
coming.
Nelson wide to the left. Hundley under pressure. Sacked at the 19-yard line. Cameron Hayward, and that takes us to the 4th quarter, which will begin with a punt. End of 3. It's 21-21. Sunday Night Football resumed after these messages. Aerial coverage tonight brought to you by Geico. Beautiful architecture. Downtown Pittsburgh, PA on this Sunday night. Temperature in the upper 30s and a good ball game. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle DeFoya. 21-21 on Sunday Night Football. But right now there is Brown setting up to run back the punt. Justin Vogel with his 3rd boot of the night. Brown waiting, and then the ball's for and makes the fair catch at the 35-yard line, and a flag is down back at the line of scrimmage. It was 4th and 16. Ockley looking over to the Pittsburgh sideline.
Holding by the kicking team, number 22. Pittsburgh is elected to enforce that foul from the end of the kick. 1st down.
Fascinating strategy in this one. I think you really nailed it. The longest field goal in the history of this building, opened in 2001, was 53 yards. Green Bay tried to kick a 57-yarder and came back and burned them.
Well, and one of the things that Bill Belichick will say about playing the Pittsburgh Steelers is you can't let them get going like that. You can't let them jump around and celebrate sacks and get this crowd into it, and the terrible towels and the whole thing. And you could just feel how that changed the football game.
On a dime. And now they have the ball near midfield in a tie game. And Ben starts here. Hand off to Bell. Breaking tackles. 14-yard gain. And for Bell, he's closing in on 3 figures. 16 carries tonight. 81 yards, averaging better than 5 per tote.
Al, they've been trying to keep these safeties deep and protect and double team against Antonio Brown, but you can't stop a fullback and a running back like Le'Veon Bell by playing 2 deep safeties. So now what are your choices? You bring one of those safeties down, and now you're in single coverage against Antonio Brown. It's the dilemma every defense faces.
Rosie Nixon at fullback. Bell again. And gets taken down at the 40-yard line. Mike Daniels right there. We go to Michelle.
Well, Demarius Randall went back to the locker room. He is questionable with cramps. You talked about him not being in there on that last Pittsburgh touchdown. Cramps, questionable. We'll see if he comes back out still in the locker room, guys.
Yeah, a key part obviously missing. Missing Clay Matthews already tonight. Inactive Kenny Clark, nose tackle, having a great year. So House is in there. And they worked on him on that last series successfully. 2nd and 9. Bell again, spinning, and the ball is out. And the Packers think they have it as Le'Veon Bell fumbles and Martinez comes away with the trophy. And this would be the 3rd turnover. If it stands, and pretty clearly it should stand.
The ruling on the field has been reviewed and it stands as called. Green Bay's ball, 1st down.
Very, very close, but the ball's coming out before his shin or thigh goes down. There's the ball starts to come out there. He tries to recapture it, but never has control of it before it hits the ground.
Yeah, Daniels gets it loose, so it's loose right there and coming up, maybe back in control. And you have to say, is that shin on the ground, and it was also bang, bang. It didn't surprise me that it stood.
Play fake, and then the pass is errant, intended for Devontae Adams. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
It's really a good play call, and you need Hundley to hit that pass. That one was play fake, had him wide open, would have been more like 2nd and about 3. And now here come the towels again.
2nd and 10 at the 34-yard line.
Empty backfield, so this will be a quick throw. Watch for the Steelers to get their hands up and try and deflect the pass.
One of the few times they have gone empty tonight. Only fires over the middle. Dangerous, dangerous pass. Shazier almost picked it. Intended for Rodgers. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
I'm not sure there's been a faster linebacker in the National Football League's history than this guy. Watch the break on the football by Ryan Shazier to make the play. That is pretty. We have seen some great defensive plays here lately.
Crowd rising as one. Tens of thousands of towels waving. 6 defensive backs in here on a 3rd and 10. Hundley fires and way too high. Intended for Adams, so they get a break on the fumble, but then a very fast 3 and out. They had the ball for 13 seconds.
Yeah, and the key was missing that first pass, because if Hundley had hit that first pass, it would have been 2nd and about 3. Come back to the running game, maybe get a drive start. Now you're staring at number 84 again.
Justin Vogel, free agent rookie who won the punting job. He's averaging 46 yards per kick tonight. This is his 4th punt. Brown calls for and makes the fair catch at the 22-yard line. And another flag here. That flag is at the 43 of Pittsburgh. And Hockey League and Company will render the verdict.
Le'Veon Bell saying thank you very much, guys, for saving me on that one. like
I think there were 2 fouls on this play.
It's like a face mask against Green Bay and the personal foul type, obviously.
During the punt, personal foul, face mask by the kicking team, number 27. That's a 15-yard penalty. Pittsburgh has chosen to replay 4th down.
All right, so just 1 foul.
Yeah, and I love the decision to make them re-kick. Now you send that punt team out there again. They're a little winded after chasing him the first time, and any kind of a line drive kick that Brown can return, it's going to be interesting.
All right, so next Sunday night, off we go to Seattle. The Philadelphia Eagles, smoking hot. Win again today, rout Chicago against the Seattle Seahawks. Eagles, Seahawks. Next Sunday night, our coverage starts Football Night in America at 7 Eastern time. So the line of scrimmage now goes back to the 19. Vogel to Brown. He calls for and makes the fair catch this time at the 32-yard line. A couple of minutes into the 4th in a tie game. Sunday Night Football brought to you by BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine. By Kohl's. Give joy, get joy. By Samsung. And by Sprint. Works for me. Well, the Steelers, Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, local law enforcement combined to provide a complete Thanksgiving dinner for over 600 families in the Pittsburgh area this week. Art Rooney II, president of the Pittsburgh Steelers, son of the late Dan Rooney, looking on as his team has the ball at the 32-yard line, and Demarius Randall is back in for Green Bay. Roethlisberger's had a ton of time tonight, but finally he's going to run out of time here because the secondary does its job. Mike Daniels gets to him, and that's the first sack of the night for Green Bay.
Well, you could start either end. We can start with the protection, which was absolutely perfect. 3 seconds is all any quarterback's going to get, and you see really nobody open down the field. So Ben tries to move around and make a play, and finally it breaks down. And defensively, the first sack of the game now. And no surprise, Mike Daniels the one that got it.
Roethlisberger barely touched to this point. 2nd down and 20. 4-man rush, dumps it off to Bell. And Bell gets it out to the 36-yard line. Didn't look like there was a lot there. And the next thing you know, before Martinez is able to knock him down, he gets 14. Turns a 2nd and 20 into a 3rd and 6.
He made 7 yards after he got hit. That was some end to that run right there. There was no juking. He knew he was completely surrounded. Just put his head down, and those yards are huge. Now 3rd and manageable for Ben.
Right. And in this range, they are 4 of 5 on 3rd down tonight. 6 of 10 overall. Showing blitz, but they back off, and then Ben fires over the middle, and it's caught on the run at the 47-yard line by Eli Rogers for a 1st down. So from 2nd and 20 to 3rd and 6, and then a 1st down.
Right here across the formation, just a lot of traffic to try and navigate in there. Of course, you end up with Randall coming in after those cramps. Protection perfect again, and that one took some time. Boy, is that a big conversion after that sack.
Another big 3rd down. 7 of 11 tonight on 3rd down. Inside draw. Bell, and nice tackle there. Boy, that Martinez all over the place. In double figures in tackles tonight. Loss right there of 3, 2nd and 13.
Sometimes you just have to fire your shot against Bell. There he is. There's a little gap, and Martinez just ran through it like a running back would. That's what Bell was looking at, but he saw Martinez coming. That was well done. With a hard count, got him to show a little bit of the coverage. He knows exactly what he has in man coverage here.
2nd and 13, and throws it to Bell in traffic, and Bell is a yard short of the 1st down. From 2nd and 13, he gives him a 3rd down and 1. Fackrell makes the stop.
Yeah, you get the man coverage, so what do? You just dump it out to your guy, get their offensive lineman out here to kick out, and he's going to come back across the grain right there. That hard count, which you can really only do at home, the reason that Ben knew what the coverage was in advance.
Bell has caught 10 tonight for 80 yards and run for 84 more. 3rd and 1, 9.5 to go in regulation. Bell to the outside. Look at those moves. 1st down. Fake King out of half his uniform. Gain of 11.
One of the differences for the Pittsburgh Steelers is how well their wide receivers block in this bunch formation. Not many teams would run at wide receivers and tight ends in that key situation, but they widen the amount of territory that Le'Veon Bell has to work with, and he takes full advantage.
Bell gets a rest for the moment. James Conner, the rookie from the University of Pittsburgh, is in there with a chip block. Down the sideline, caught on the run by Antonio Brown. Touchdown. 33 yards to give the Steelers the lead.
Just cover 2 on the outside, roll up, but House makes the mistake of letting Antonio Brown get outside of him against that 2-deep defense, which does not give Morgan Burnett a chance to get there. You could see Ben, he knew he wanted to go all the way. He was kind of looking down the middle, but in his heart, he knew he was going to fire that shot out to the main man. Impressive.
That's 119 yards receiving for Brown. 80 for Bell. The Killer Bees, Ben, Brown, and Bell buzzing again. Extra point is good. 8:42 remaining. 28-21 Pittsburgh. Tough to keep these guys down. They come off a game a week ago Thursday against Tennessee where they put up 40. Brown had a tremendous night. 10 receptions for 144. Tonight 7 for 119. The kick is returnable from the goal line. Trevor Davis looks for room and brings it back out to the 24-yard line. The new rendition, the new version of the Killer Bees. There's Ben's numbers. Good night. Again, 4 touchdown passes. Bell has just been tremendous. 95 yards on the ground, 80 through the air, and Brown is Brown.
Brown is Brown. 3 touchdowns the first 9 games of the season, 5 in the last 2. He has simply taken over when his team needed it most. Stars being stars tonight, including Cameron Hayward on the defensive side.
Leading rusher in the league, leading receiver in the league, and those guys look like it. All right. What do the Packers have left here from the 23-yard line? And a pass over the middle is caught, and to the 48-yard line goes Richard Rodgers for a first down, getting it out almost to midfield. It's a gain of 25 yards.
How about Hundley? He got that slot blitz that's been giving him so many problems. Hundley saw it this time. Just got the ball out of his hands. There you go. That's what Aaron Rodgers would have done with that one. Nicely done.
First down, 48-yard line. 8 minutes remaining in regulation.
Green 18.
Punch 3 receivers to the right side. Fake it to Williams. Throw on the move. Caught by Cobb, and Randall Cobb has a first down, getting the ball into Pittsburgh territory, out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Hilton makes the tackle.
Nicely done that time by Hundley. Looked like Aaron Rodgers escaping on that one. He looked like he was going to get hit in the backfield. They're playing this bootleg really hard. Hundley had just enough of a move to get away.
Got away from Bud Dupree halfway through the quarter as Rodgers looks on. And the understudy with the first down at the 40-yard line.
Green 18, Green 10.
On the ground now, Williams gain a 1. Jamal Williams to the 39-yard line. Dupree there for the tackle, second down and 9.
Yeah, they put in an extra offensive lineman for that one. Now bringing the receivers back. Very quiet night for Jordy Nelson. There's Keith Butler, second leading tackler in the history of the Seattle Seahawks, coordinating the Steelers defense.
So Jordy Nelson lining up. He's caught 1 pass tonight for 2 yards. On second and 9, over the middle, and that is caught by Davante Adams, who gets it to the 27-yard line. So the Packers responding after taking the ball at their own 23-yard line.
Once he sees the middle linebacker dropping straight back to the middle of the field, fired out to his favorite target, Davante Adams. And boy, I tell you, the difference between Brett Hundley tonight and his decision making and a week ago, this has been some training session by this coaching staff and Aaron Rodgers.
Massive.
Green 18, Green 10.
Quick throw to the outside. Nelson makes the catch. Breaks a tackle or 2. Picks up 7. Sean Davis makes the stop. Second down and 3.
All right, a little flavor. Remember some of these quarterbacks, both feet off the ground, just over the head of Watt, and they all do it in Green Bay. It works. Maybe everybody should do it.
Might be the uniform.
Might be the uniform. Never know. Look at that.
Great sequence there. Second down and 3. Inside handoff. Williams to the 18, setting up a very big third down. 3rd and 1, 5.5 to go. Line of scrimmage will be the 18-yard line.
You know, Al, I just don't think you can give the ball back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their offense on a bit of a roll, your secondary banged up. I think you're playing this one all the way to the end zone no matter what happens here.
Could be 4 down. I agree with you. Ulrich John comes in. Extra lineman here. Heavy on the right side. 3rd and 1. And they flip it to the left side to Nelson, and he thrusts forward and should have the first down, and does. Jordy Nelson knowing exactly where he had to go. Artie Burns makes the tackle, moves the chains.
Well, this is one of those run-pass options, and the minute Jordy Nelson had off coverage against Artie Burns, and he's going to stretch and pick up the first down. It's amazing in this game played on a 120-yard field, how many times inches decide games. 4
first downs on this drive. Started back at the 23. They're at the 16 now. Williams, and he's going to get taken down in the backfield. Hilton is there. Tuitt as well. Tuitt got him first. It'll be second down.
Stephon Tuitt, the other half of Batman and Robin inside at that defensive tackle position. They tried to go with a slow developing play, but this is not a slow developing defense. They're on the attack.
Under 4 to go. Cobb comes out of the backfield now to the slot. 2nd and 12. Huntley throwing down the sideline, pushing and shoving, and Adams looking around for a flag. Covered there by Artie Burns. 3rd down.
They really made it look like it was an all-out blitz, but it wasn't. They ran a free safety to the middle of the field. If anything, that was offensive pass interference.
And not catchable on top of it. So it's 3rd down and 12. Crowd in full throat. Hundley off the fake, hits Cobb. Cobb to the 11-yard line. I'm with you now on 4th down. You got to go for it. 4th and 5. Clock running down. 3:15. Whistles from Hockley, and you've got Ryan Shazier, who's on a knee. There he is. Needs some attention getting off the field, so that's why you had the stoppage here as the great linebacker hobbles off.
And that is truly significant for this defense. This defense is built around his speed, and there's not anybody that can replace that speed. Now here in a 4th down and 5 or 6 situation, now you probably bring other people in. Now they're going to bring in Tyler Matakevich. Well, now that brings open the possibility in my mind. You have to look inside at some tight end possibilities thrown to your back. I want to find the new guy who's been sitting over on the sideline, number 44, and see if I can take advantage. They may counter with sending him on a blitz.
So 4th and 6 at the 12. Wind the clock. 3 minutes.
Boy, this smells like pressure coming here.
Looks like it. Matakevich looks like he's ready to blitz, but he doesn't. He goes back into coverage, and you've got a whistle here before the snap. And Green Bay
timeout. Green
used
Bay.
a timeout.
Al, they knew they were dead.
Yep.
They saw what I saw. They saw the pressure. It was a slot blitz. It was an overload to the right, and they did not have it protected. They're in an empty backfield, and they knew they were hanging Brett Hundley out the drive, and they called the timeout in advance of that. So that was won that time by Keith Butler before the snap ever happened.
McCarthy called it from the sideline. That's their 2nd timeout. And it's 4th down and 6.
And that really hurts, that 2nd timeout. You have the 2-minute warning, 1 timeout. But boy, it would have been nice to have that one in your hip pocket. But 4th down, you have no choice. You have to get the right play call.
Empty the backfield. Go with 5 receivers. Throwing, caught. It's going to be a 1st and goal. Davante Adams makes the catch. 5 catches for him tonight for 82 yards and a touchdown. 2.5 now, and 1st and goal.
In and out, back to the outside. That time working against William Gay, and I think there's been a changing of the guard in Green Bay. The number 1 receiver right now is Davante Adams, and it showed there.
Certainly for Hundley it is. Ticking down toward the 2-minute warning. From the 4, inside draw, Williams dives, and he is in for the touchdown. Jamal Williams on his 20th carry of the night, and the rookie puts it in. An extra point away now from tying the game.
Hard inside stunt here, and watch Spriggs, the new right tackle, just drive Bud Dupree right down inside. Beautifully done. And now they're going to go for 1. I wondered whether or not McCarthy might consider going for 2 in this situation and going for the win.
Ooh, such a letdown. Well,
a lot of time left.
2:02 left, so Roethlisberger's going to get the ball, and the game is tied. What a drive. They had 6 first downs on the drive. 12 plays, 4 runs, 8 passes, 28-28 on Sunday Night Football. There's your action. Thursday Night Football from Texas. It's the Redskins, it's the Cowboys. 2 teams hanging on to playoff hopes. Big game for both. Thursday Night Football right here on NBC. And that'll be taken in the end zone by Martavis Bryant. And Roethlisberger and company will start from the 20-yard line and be able to run 1 play before we go to the 2-minute warning.
Boy, how good was that drive by Brett Hundley? They had 5 yards rushing, 4 of those coming on the touchdown, and 72 yards through the air from that young man who looks as cool as he can possibly be over there. So impressive.
Williams took it in. 6 first downs on that drive, 6 of their 15 tonight. And now Roethlisberger goes to work. Pittsburgh has all 3 timeouts. Man over the middle. 6-yard gain, hits Eli Rogers, tackled by Burnett. And with 1:58, we have the 2-minute warning. 28-28 in the Berg. Right after the game, Volkswagen post-game report. Michelle Tafoya interviewing the stars of the game. Mike Tirico, Tony Dungy, Mike Florio wrapping up the day. Chris and I a look ahead to next Sunday's game between Philadelphia and Seattle.
Let's see if Green Bay gets back to that man coverage they started the game with. You do not want Ben Roethlisberger to bleed you down the field slowly and kick a field goal and get out of here.
2nd and 4. Roethlisberger throws, and that's caught. There's Brown. Off to the races he goes to the 45, but a flag is thrown. Would be a first down for the moment.
There was definitely some grabbing and holding and picking and
on every play.
Yeah, it's called football, right?
Right. Defense against the Packers. It's declined. Take the play. The play was good for 13 yards and a first down at the 44.
Yeah, Martinez is going to end up holding Jesse James here. Doesn't matter. Now.
Right.
A lot of pressure on Kevin King, the young rookie out here on Antonio Brown.
2nd-round pick out of Washington. Roethlisberger looks the other way, then goes over the middle, and that's caught by Bell. And Le'Veon Bell will pick up a first down before he slides out of bounds, chased by Josh Hawkins. First down.
Yeah, you get double coverage on Antonio Brown out here. Going to help. You can't blame him. He's eating you alive. And then Morgan Burnett's going to get picked, rubbed, whatever you want to call it, inside, trying to cover Le'Veon Bell. A lot of weapons to try and defend.
It's 11 catches for Bell tonight, the most receptions in any one game in his career, to the 46-yard line now. Roethlisberger throwing, one-handed and not caught. Martavis Bryant trying to make a circus catch. Covered there by King. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to take Dom Capers long. He wasn't going to just sit back. That time they came with a lot of pressure, put a lot of heat on the back end coverage guys. But you almost have to. Otherwise, he just checks the thing down to Le'Veon Bell and rocks you to sleep.
Minute 38. Roethlisberger, the sideline, and Brown can't hold that one in. Covered on the play by Josh Hawkins. So 3rd down and 10.
I mean, this was almost one of those crazy catches that he makes, just can't haul it in. And Al, there aren't many times that sometimes a season can come down to a play, but for the Green Bay Packers, they need this stop right here.
Pretty close. Ball at the 46. Hawkins covering Antonio Brown. You got Bryant now coming to the inside in motion. Roethlisberger. Good protection again. Deep downfield. Tipped and incomplete. Eli Rogers, the intended receiver. Randall is there, so they hold him, and it's 4th down, and the Steelers have to punt.
Would have been interesting. He had Antonio Brown coming across the formation. Some picks, some rubs, all that stuff in there. Covered up a little bit on the back end by Josh Jones, and then there it was, Demarius Randall, cramps and all, making a huge, huge play for the Packers.
Buried a punt. Nose down kick and a very short one, and a fair catch call for by Trevor Davis at the 18-yard line. In quarterback comparison tonight, you got the veteran Roethlisberger, maybe headed to the Hall of Fame. You got Brett Hundley taking over as the apprentice for Rodgers and holding his own, a 135 rating for Hundley tonight. 3 touchdowns, Ben with 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. What a game.
Yeah, and I can't help but think back to situations like this. Is one you say maybe they're happy going to overtime, whatever. But Tom Brady back in the Super Bowl when he was a very young quarterback, you give him some nice, easy throws, some check downs, maybe a draw, maybe a screen, something. And if the drive gets started, then you let him go. You let Hundley take a shot.
See Shazier limped off before. He's back in the game, number 50. Go 5 wide here. Hundley under pressure. Look out from behind. Look out from ahead. And down he goes to the 12-yard line. T.J. Watt, with some help from his friends, will get the sack.
T.J. Watt came from coverage to get that sack. You aren't even going to believe this. Watch him drop back, and then he reads it. The quarterback starts to move, and he comes up and gets the sack.
Sense trouble. Looked like almost helmet to helmet there. That could have been called. 6-yard sack. Hundley's gone down 4 times in the half. 2nd and 16. Dumps it off to Jamal Williams. And he gets out of bounds at the 15.
Oh, boy.
With 32 seconds.
You know, I was wondering if Tomlin was going to take the timeout after that sack, and he certainly would have after that play. But by going out of bounds, now you have given a bunch of chips here, possibly back to Tomlin if they can make this hold.
3rd and 13. Clearly, if they don't make a first down and stay in bounds, Tomlin would take the timeout. Incomplete pass obviously would stop the clock with maybe 25 seconds. Give Pittsburgh one more chance. 3rd and 13. They're going to keep it on the ground and play it safe and look for overtime as they get into the 19. Shazier makes the tackle. Pittsburgh takes a timeout. So they'll get one more shot after the punt.
Boy, they caught a huge break and a big mistake by the Green Bay Packers going out of bounds on that prior play. A big difference in this game right now with Pittsburgh and Ben Roethlisberger with 2 timeouts to work with. It just opens up the whole field. You know, with 1 timeout, you make a play in the middle of the field, you have to call a timeout. Now you have to work the boundaries. But for consecutive plays now, Ben Roethlisberger will be able to work anywhere on the field with those 2 timeouts.
And you're looking at a ballpark, as we mentioned a couple of times tonight, hardest place to kick a field goal. So what are you looking at? You're looking at maybe getting to the 33 of Green Bay. Let's see what happens first after the punt here. Vogel's kick. Brown drips over, falls it into the 28-yard line, and gets tackled at the 29 by Davis. 17 ticks remaining.
Let's go back to this shot by Watt and helmet-to-helmet contact. It's one of those they can call, did not. And it's going to give the Pittsburgh Steelers an opportunity.
So Roethlisberger can use the middle of the field, has the timeouts. Time for maybe a couple of plays, 2, let's say, before, if they get him into field goal range, they bring in Boswell to try to win it.
I go back to the Indy game, and in this situation, they hit Martavis Bryant on a crossing route, and he took off and ran with it for a big play.
Roethlisberger dancing, throws to the sideline, and the catch is made, and they're going to call it as they review it themselves, the 2 of them. One guy says yes. Not sure the down judge was necessarily in agreement, but for the moment, Brown tries to scrape that right foot. Left foot is in. Does he have control of the ball?
Goodness, I think he did it. That back foot was dragging the ball. Let's make sure as he goes to the ground, how much of it can we see? if he holds
We will
on to this
review the
ball,
ruling on the field.
we got to watch it all the way down. You know how the rule goes.
Inside 2 minutes, everything goes to replay in New York.
I think that is one of the most brilliant plays I've seen in a very long time. I think he has it.
I don't think it's enough to overturn it, so it probably will stand. They're still not in field goal range. The ball's at the 45, but he has 11 seconds.
Now you can't watch the right foot now. You have to watch it as it was dragging the ground. He was clearly kicking up dirt and grass with that back foot, and I think he caught it so cleanly that foot was still on the ground. Let's watch catch. Is he still dragging his foot? You can't necessarily see it from there, but
I don't see him overturning it.
I don't either. I mean, there's clearly not.
He's in there.
That is so good.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It really is. Hockley ready to tell us eventually that it's a catch.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. It was a completion. First down.
Pardon me while I clap my hands a little bit for that one.
Go to Michelle quickly.
Wow.
Well, Chris Boswell in the pregame kicked a 51-yarder in this direction. Remember, he missed the extra point on Pittsburgh's first touchdown, but he has not missed a field goal at home this season, Al.
And Michelle, I noticed the wind has picked up. It was a windless night, but the breeze is blowing right now. You can see the flags at the top of the goalposts. Or there they are. That's Brown's 8th first down catch tonight. 8 for first down. And 9 total, 157 yards.
It may be tough to get off 2 plays at this point. You have to kind of plan this out like this one has to get you in field goal range. You may get a second, but you can't be sure.
I'm sorry, we forgot to reset the clock. 13 seconds should be on the clock. 13 seconds on the clock.
That changes the strategy. Now you will, in all likelihood, get a second play with 2 timeouts.
McCarthy says, where'd those 2 seconds come from? Roethlisberger out of the shotgun. Here come the Packers. Put the heat on. Pass to the outside. Caught. Out of bounds goes Brown, but a flag is down. He's out of bounds at the 33-yard line. So gain of 14. That would put him in field goal range.
They tried to talk Ben out of that one. They showed double coverage pre-snap right here. They showed double coverage. They come out of it. They bring the blitz the opposite side. Ben knew exactly what he's going to do with the ball once he saw the single coverage.
Flag got picked up. There's no foul. The ball is at the 33-yard line. Right now you're looking at a 51-yard field goal. 9 seconds.
I'll bet you they run Bell or throw it.
Roethlisberger, well, he's going to throw it to him, and then he's going to be down at the 35-yard line. So they wind up losing a couple of yards. They have to take a timeout, and now
it's a 30-second
Boswell
timeout.
is going to have to come in and kick about a 53-yarder to win the game.
You know what, Al? I'm going to guess Le'Veon Bell was told after the catch, you guys have to get down. Because if Le'Veon Bell had made one person miss there and been running up the field, the clock would have run out.
This would tie the longest field goal ever kicked in this building, which is now in its 17th season. Would tie Dan Bailey's mark. Cowboy kicked one last year. Hockley.
That's their 3rd and final. It's a 30-second
Signals
timeout.
that Green Bay takes a timeout. Their 3rd and final.
Boy, we were thinking what this game could have been if Aaron Rodgers were playing in it. As great as Aaron Rodgers is, I don't know that he would have outplayed what we've seen from Brett Hundley tonight.
Now, this has been a terrific game. Might be number 1 on the Sunday night schedule this year in terms of drama.
No question. It may or may not be over here.
So Boswell from 53, Jordan Berry to put it down.
Yeah, you want pressure up the middle here because typically these have to be low driving kicks. Chance to block it.
Candidate to snap it. And Boswell's kick is good to win the game. I mean, what can you say? You miss an extra point, and then you make a 53-yarder in Pittsburgh. 6 straight wins for the Steelers. What a gut-wrenching loss for the Packers. Man, oh man. Name your #1 highlight of the night. You got a bunch to choose from. Made it by plenty. And McCarthy leaves his hometown with a loss. Mike Tomlin picks up another win. The Steelers with a mark of 9-2. But what a night for that guy, Hundley. Roethlisberger, another 4-touchdown night. In a drama-packed game, and Aaron Rodgers can only look on. Coming up next, it will be the Volkswagen post-game report right after these messages from your NBC station.